If you haven't passed Majora's Mask, then I highly recommend clicking away from this video as there will be spoilers. You've been warned. Majora's Mask and I, we have a weird relationship. It's been around my life since I was a kid, yet I wouldn't call it one of my childhood games, as I mainly just messed around on my brother's completed file for the most part. It's only until the release of the 3DS version where I finally came around to completing the game and understood why the game was praised as one of the greatest games in the franchise next to Ocarina of Time. While I won't be talking why it's loved by many, as this is not a review for the game, that's a whole different video for a whole different day. Instead, I'll be talking about the infamous Child of Chaos, Lust of Destruction, and Bringer of Doomsday. Ladies, gentlemen, and people of the internet, I present you the mischievous trickster, Skull Kid. Enjoy. Take that! While I won't be talking about the specific Skull Kid, let me just shed some light on the Skull Kids for those who aren't aware. Skull Kids are one of the many races in the Zelda universe. They aren't born by normal means, but instead are transformed into these creatures. If a child, presumably a Hylian child, gets lost in the Lost Woods, or Forbidden Woods as the Hylians have dubbed it, they will be doomed to wander the woods for all eternity as they do not age. Now that that's out of the way, let's continue on with our Skull Kid. In both the beginning and end of the game, it's heavily implied that one of the Skull Kids that Link befriends in Ocarina of Time is the same one as the Majora's Mask one. Yet it's stated that Skull Kid has essentially been around since the creation of Termina. There isn't any real explanation on how Skull Kid's backstory occur, and honestly, it's really up to the player to piece together the little info we get on the subject. So here's how I personally see it. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Skull Kid, who we don't really know just how long he's been alive for, has been visiting Termina many years prior to the events of Ocarina of Time, possibly even during the Civil War of Hyrule, where he befriended the 4 giants when all of Termina lived as one in the center of the land. As Termina grew, the giants decided to protect the 4 regions of the land, 100 steps in each direction. Skull Kid, who misinterpreted the situation, felt abandoned, followed by rage, which led to his mischievous acts towards the people of Termina. The giants, being the guardians of Termina, gave the Skull Kid the choice to either return to the heavens, that being Hyrule, or get torn apart by the 4. Skull Kid decided to ascend to the sky, where he lay low for a while until the end of Ocarina of Time, where he returns to Termina, only to be outcasted by the population. That is, until a rainy, lonely day where 2 sibling fairies found Skull Kid shivering in the cold inside of a hollowed-out tree trunk. Pitying the poor creature, they decided to comfort him. Thus began a new friendship between the 3. They played, laughed, and sang. Skull Kid couldn't be more happier. That is, until he attacked the happy salesman, as Skull Kids in general tend to hate adults. Sadly, this man acquired a mask that was used for Hathic rituals by an ancient tribe, and wearing it gave the user insanely amount of power. This was the beginning of Skull Kid's downfall. Having the power of Majora's Mask, Skull Kid decided to take revenge on the ones who did him ill, his first victims being his former friends, the 4 giants. Without them to guard the land, Skull Kid, with the power of Majora's Mask, went on tormenting the people of Termina, either by messing with the environment, attacking the weak, transforming the innocent, and even killing off a few. Even then, it's not enough for him to be satisfied playing tricks on the people, so instead he took it upon himself to force the moon to crash down on Termina. If Link fails to bring back the 4 giants before time runs out, Skull Kid will succeed on bringing the end of the world, where we get to see both Termina and Link get obliterated by the collision. Only when the land is covered in flames will the wrath of the Skull Kid rest. Being a kid for all eternity, one can expect for Skull Kid to act like, well, a kid. It is in the name after all. He's very playful and likes putting mischievous pranks on people, on the more lighthearted side of things, that is. Though it's not all sunshines and rainbows, as he has shown to throw tantrums when quote-unquote abandoned by the giants, by putting harsher pranks towards the people of Termina. Not entirely dangerous, just cause an annoyance for them. I feel like Skull Kid could potentially have abandonment issues. While there aren't much examples I can go off on, the fact that he's willing on going so far as destroying the entire land says a lot about the character. Then again, he does hold his friendship with high regard. And there's also the fact that he was under the influence of Majora that caused him to almost wipe out Termina. And while Majora has his own reasons to destroy the land, I like to believe that the mask doubles the negative emotions of the user to go do some such drastic length. Of course, that's just me speculating. Skull Kids have this autumn type of colors in their designs, as if contrasting with the spring green of the Kokiri attire. It doesn't help that they almost resemble the likes of a scarecrow as well. Maybe it's their way of blending in with the environment, or perhaps a tactic they use to scare off outsiders trying to enter the forest. Regardless, I want to focus our attention to the Skull Kid's face. Ocarina of Time specifically had tons of enemies that share a common trait among one another: their faces and glowing eyes. As you can see, Skull Kids are no different. This leads me to believe that Skull Kids were possibly considered to be monster enemies for Link. They do have an attack animation after all. Before tackling the big bad Majora, let's go through some of the changes Skull Kid went through from game to game. First off, the face. They changed the original dark tone and lips to a wood-like feature and a beak due to racism, and of course also to match with the rest of his body that seems to be made out of wood. Next was the hat. The angle of the hat was shifted more upwards so it wouldn't cover up the upper part of the mask. And lastly, his gloves. If we take a closer look at the new drawn in symbol, we can tell that this is the same symbol that Kokiri used for the Deku Shield. The symbol originated from the Kokiri Emerald and seems to be some kind of wind marking, as the four symbols were going to be wind themed, hence why the green medallion also has a wind marking. The gloves themselves have also changed from what I personally call a farmer gloves to the fingerless ones, as the fingerless gloves allow Skull Kid's hands to look more intimidating and express overwhelming power. This can also be seen in Ganondorf's idle animation in Smash 4 and official art of Ocarina of Time, also because fingerless gloves look cool. Now onto the one behind pulling the strings, Majora. The first thing that catches our eyes are, well, the eyes, as the darker shade of colors really make the lighter orange pop out a bit. That and also the unnerving, unblinking gaze this mask gives is just haunting. Moving to the more obvious, the base of the mask is shaped as a heart. As many already know, hearts almost always represents love, compassion, and understanding. Yet that doesn't really match with Majora's mindset of destruction. That's where the rest of the design comes in. Both the color schemes and spikes along with the horns help us identify Majora as the wicked villain that it is. If I've learned anything from nature, is that spikes give a threatening signal for possible prey. And while Majora itself isn't an organic being needing protection from a prey, I still feel like this logic still applies to the mask as it is a masked threat. The colors, on the other hand, as I've stated before, use a dark tones of color such as dark purple and dark red. The purple can be depicted as mysterious or powerful. It's also good to know that purple is almost always associated with evil. This can be seen on multiple occasions with the franchise's villains and Ganondorf's magic. Red, on the other hand, is usually associated with dangers or anger. And wouldn't you know, it fits under Majora's description perfectly. Now, since I try my best to stick with just pure facts as much as possible, I'll be leaving some aspects of the mask alone, such as the colors of the spikes, as it'll be borderline theorizing by then. So instead, I'll be making a theory video on the topic soon. Hopefully you stick around to see it. For now, on to the next segment. I can't really say there were really any sort of development for this character, as he's pretty much the same as he was before acquiring Majora. The only notable difference is how he came to terms that the giants have a duty to follow through and can't always be there to play with him. But then again, he probably came to terms with that far back in the past, as it seemed that he no longer gave any more problems to the Terminians, and instead cheerfully played with his new friends. It's only when he wore Majora when all the problems resumed, but that's only because he was possessed by Majoras with dark magic, so I wouldn't hold that against him. Long story short, he had no development at all, and the events of Majora's Mask could have easily been avoided if he wasn't such a curious creature. Out of the entire cast of Ocarina of Time, I feel like there couldn't have been a better choice for the Majora's Mask antagonist. Skull Kids are sad creatures, being separated by their Hylian parents only to be essentially cursed into a monster. Albeit that it doesn't seem that Skull Kids have any sort of memory of their previous life and don't really mind being monsters. But I like to believe that there's some sort of unknown trauma behind Skull Kid's loneliness, as if faint memories shoot back whenever he feels alone. He was after all lost in his last breathing moments. Maybe that's why he cherishes being around friends more than anything, as it could have been his last dying wish before transforming into a Skull Kid to see his friends and family one last time. Of course, that's all speculating. And how can I forget the fears of Majora? Even after all these years, people start theorizing the secrets behind Majora. There's no clear answer what Majora is, and I hope there never will be, as it will ruin the mystery behind it. All in all, one can't work without the other, and that's what makes this duo my personal favorite villains in the series. Even if one of them is misunderstood throughout the game, this has been the heart of vengeance. Hey guys, Femi here, or Fuser, whichever you want to call me, and I am here to say that I've been working on this video for over 3 months, believe it or not. And thankfully, it is done. This has been a journey for me, my first video officially on this channel. So thank you so much for sticking through this awful, just god-awful video of mine to the end. I really appreciate that. Before leaving, I would like to ask you guys to check out my Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages, as I like to be able to post updates of current projects I'm working on without, you know, feeling that I'm talking to myself, because I'm very lonely. So yeah. And finally, I like to also ask you to click the little bell icon below, as YouTube has a habit of not showing channels that don't post regularly, such as myself, on people's subscription feed. So oh great, somebody's using the toilet, just great. So anyways, yeah, do that so you won't miss a video of mine, never, essentially. Again, thanks so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys whenever I post again. Take care.
I can't tell you how to see me, just a cage of bones, there's nothing inside. Will it unleash me?